Hello, everyone. Welcome to Liberty and Ink, Voices of the American Revolution through Primary Sources. Today, we'll travel back to the years before 1820 to explore how early Americans used the printed word to argue, persuade, and imagine a new nation. This would be for an audience of local historical society, community event, or educator workshop of some sort. Primary sources give us direct access to the people who lived history. By reading their words, we hear their hopes, fears, and arguments firsthand. Studying these sources encourages historical literacy. The American Revolution is a perfect example of how documents, letters, and pamphlets shape the course of events. Printed culture was the heartbeat of revolutionary communication. Pamphlets and newspapers spread ideas faster than ever before, allowing colonists from Boston to Charleston to debate independence. The printed word was the most powerful weapon for shaping public opinion and mobilizing people towards a common cause. Thomas Paine's Common Sense, published in 1776, was small but massive in influence. It reached tens of thousands of colonists and changed how people thought about monarchy and self government. Reading Paine's actual words today lets us hear the moral urgency and plain spoken power that inspired the revolution. But history is not just about famous men. In her 1776 letter to her husband John, Abigail Adams urged him to remember the ladies. As the new laws of independence were being written, her words remind us that women too were part of this revolutionary conversation, even when their voices were excluded from public policies and politics. They were still involved. Through America's historical imprints, we can access hundreds of original pamphlets, broadsides such as these, that allow us to practice historical literacy. That means that we don't just read the words. We are asking who wrote this, why, for whom, what fears or hopes are hidden between the lines. When we read primary sources, we're not just learning facts. We're learning to think like historians. These questions help us evaluate the meaning of the past, not just memorize it. Through this process, history comes alive, personal, and deeply human for our students. By pairing these primary sources with historians like Bernard Bailyn and Gordon Wood, we see how revolutionary thought evolved from these scattered colonial protests to a radical redefinition of human liberty. Phelan and Wood have shown that revolutionary pamphlets and letters reveal how ordinary people transformed Enlightenment ideas into political action. Phelan traces how pamphlet writers inspired independence, while Wood describes how the revolution reshaped American society and identity. Their scholarship depends on careful reading of primary sources. It's the same skills that we develop through historical literacy. Finally, we will end by comparing the pamphlets of the 1770s to today's digital platforms. The power of the printed pamphlet in 1776 mirrors the power of social media today. So both allow individuals to share ideas and influence public opinion. Historical literacy, remember understanding the context, bias, and perspective, is just as vital in our digital world today as it was in colonial America. The tools have changed, but the struggles to shape public opinion through media remains. Understanding early American documents helps us recognize how ideas spread, how freedom was argued, and how civic engagement began in print. By studying the revolution's print culture, we can become informed citizens in our own time. Primary sources bring the revolution to life. They show us that revolution is not a distant story, it's a conversation. Practicing historical literacy helps us to join that conversation and appreciating the complexities and courage of those who came before us. Thank you for joining me. I hope this presentation inspires you to read America's Founding Voices for yourself, to see history not as a story told about the past, but as a conversation that still speaks to us today. Thank you.